This is the Kick-Ass Geek Cast for Tuesday, December 9th, 2014. I am your host, Daddy Warpig. I am back. The Kick-Ass Geek Cast broadcast every weekday, every Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch me online on Twitter at Daddy_Warpig, at Daddy_Warpig, or follow my blog, daddywarpig.com. Once again, daddywarpig.com. We have a lot of happenings to get through today. But before I do, I have one more announcement. The Kick-Ass Geek Cast has started a new show on Sundays, 1 hour, the Geek-tacular Gab Fest, where me and my co-hosts, Remy Punks and Doranal, discuss anything geeky we want to. All play, no work. Come, listen, have fun. We take questions from the audience. It's really enjoyable. We've had developers from Seedscape on. We've had the artists from Seedscape on, and we're trying to line up a really cool guest for this Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, an hour of pure geekery. It's a lot of fun. So, the news for today, those of you who are listening yesterday know that I have tried to restructure the show so I could get in more news that you need to know. And these are just no commentary, just straightforward news. All the stories that came to my attention that I was able to gather enough information on to go to press with over the last 24 hours. Happenings for Tuesday, December 9th. Twitter experienced a widespread outage starting just an hour ago, with feeds for follows and lists not being updated. Contrary to some early reports, this does not seem to be a deliberate action against Gamergate or supporters. Repeat, not a deliberate action against Gamergate or supporters. Partial functionality began being restored immediately prior to this broadcast. Jenn of Hardwire received a threat at her workplace informing her employer of her activities in Gamergate, and also threatening to obtain legal counsel unless she halted her participation in, quote, the hate movement called Gamergate. Jenn is currently compiling a list of Gamergate supporters who have been threatened at their employers. This list, though incomplete, is not short. Kotaku Australia held a reader vote for Disappointment of the Year for 2014, with Gamergate tying Destiny, Bungie Studios' video game, for the win. Kotaku writer Mark Serles said, quote, Gamergate is like Darth Vader. Once upon a time, he had good intentions, maybe. Then some bad things happened, and before you know it, he was blowing up entire planets with Death Stars and brutalizing innocent people. But like Luke Skywalker, I choose to believe there is good there. I want to bring people back. Gamergate may be more machine than man, but I hope they can take the mask off as a collective and turn back to the good side before being burned on some weird metaphorical funeral pile. The Kick-Ass Geekcast would like to remind Mr. Serles that it is the light side, not the good side, if you're going to go with that metaphor. And also, we thank you for comparing us to someone who blows up entire planets with Death Stars and brutalizes innocent people. That is in no way a grotesque exaggeration. According to Dapper Swine, developer of recently greenlit indie game Seedscape, the game's winter theme from their soundtrack is almost ready for release. This would make the third track by composer Chris Sano from the soundtrack that has been released. You can read more details at the project's Steam page. Mercedes Carrera, porn actress and Gamergate supporter, announced intentions of launching her own charity on Tuesday following recent difficulties with Able Gamer and special effects charities. Fortunately, I have the money and time to do so, the actress said today on Twitter. Questions have been raised about the charitable organization status of Feminist Frequency, the media criticism organization run by Anita Sarkeesian and Jonathan McIntosh. According to commenters, FemFreak is registered both as a business and a 501c3 charity, two separate but interrelated organizations. The charitable arm is required by law to respond to requests for financial information within 30 days, but unconfirmed reports suggest that it has not done so. Lawyers specializing in this area are requested to contact 8chan/Gamergate or Kotaku in action. DigitalConfederacy.com today posted an interview with Lindbergh Limited at To Know Is To Be, Gamergate supporter, about his involvement in the controversial consumer revolt. The link to the story will be posted in the video description after the show. An indie developer selected to be Monday's Gamergate promotion of the day declined the association, first snarling at Gators boosting his game, but later saying he doesn't want to take either side in the ongoing controversy. Booster organizers withdrew their tweet shortly after his outburst. A recent spate of so-called ex-Gamergaters coming forward to ostensibly expose the consumer revolt has some raising questions, beginning with Brianna Wu's loudly triumphant posting of a hagiographic letter applauding her beauty and intelligence. Several such accounts have been announced by antis, including at least 2 on Twitter and 1 on the Gamergazi subreddit. If anti-estimates of the number of real pros are accurate, this represents a sizable percentage of Gamergate supporters. For more news, consult Kotaku in action on Reddit or follow Daddy Warpig on Twitter at Daddy_Warpig at Daddy_Warpig. Tips and information for all the news you need to know can be sent to daddy.warpig at yahoo.com. And that is our news for Tuesday, December 9th, 2014. On to the editorials. I want to read to you from a tweet posted today, posted last evening by Jenn of Hardwire, a Gamergate supporter. She posted an image of her, of an email she received at her work. To whoever it may concern, your employee, Jennifer, they include her full name, so she's been doxxed. Whoever is sending this email directly to her employer has doxxed her. Your employer, Jennifer blank, and it's censored out for obvious reasons in her image, is currently deeply embedded in a hate movement called Gamergate. You can witness her harassment of women and minorities by viewing her public Twitter account named at Jenn of Hardwire. I hope you can convince her to cease this harmful behavior, or I will have to seek legal counsel. Jenn replies, "Dear Mr. Nobody," in her tweet, "I get all work emails, but was kind and forwarded this email to my boss. Warm regards, Jenny." This is not the first time Gamergaters have received threats at their employers. Shortly before, or a while before closing his accounts, Internet Aristocrat, if my memory serves me correctly, was doxxed and received the woman, the receptionist at his work received so many calls of such grotesque nature that they had to turn off part of the phone network. Apologies if I have misstated some part of that situation. In addition, Plebcomics was recently doxxed and hacked yesterday on Tumblr, and several tweets coming out this morning suggest that she lost her job because of harassment to her boss. Now, I was not able to gather enough evidence or enough information on that to make it a full news story. Nevertheless, such reports are being spread in and around Gamergate. And there have been many more. Jenn of Hardwire is collecting stories about such incidents, so for reasons of documentation, and many have been coming in. She's been retweeting them on her Twitter account. If you want to go there, you can see story after story after story of people being doxxed. There has been, it is not unusual for supporters of this consumer revolt to receive death threats, rape threats, harassment, to be bullied at their jobs. And yet we are assured continually by antis that it is Gamergate, this consumer revolt currently occupying the Gamergate hashtag, that is the anti-woman, anti-minority hate group. And as all of you know who listened to the show yesterday, an analysis of the traffic in and around the hashtag conclusively disproves the notion that this is a hate group. In particular, hate groups are usually typified by a small clique or a single charismatic leader. Gamergate has none of those characteristics. Moreover, people reading the hashtag, people reading tweets of those people who are leading, are prominent in the pros. Apologies, I know some of you will get upset by me using the term leading. Just understand, please. Those who are prominent among the pros, if you read their tweets with an open mind and not with a mind twisted by confirmation bias that you need to prove to yourself that they're hateful just so you can justify hating them, you will know that pros are not bigots, they are not racist, they are not misogynists, they are not sexist, they are not transphobic, they are not homophobic, they are not germophobic, they are not ratophobic, catophobic, badophobic, dogophobic, snowophobic, houseophobic, carophobic, or anything else that you idiots could accuse them of. They are shockingly sincere, nice, good people. Those who are not have crumbled and have disassociated themselves or been asked to go after several bad events. I know this for a fact because I have spent the majority of my waking hours for the past 3 months involved in the pros. I have a list of the most prominent people involved. I read their tweets all day. I spend, depending on the day, anywhere from 8 to 16 hours involved on Twitter, reading, replying, retweeting, gathering information for a show, or before I started doing these streams for blog posts. I know the people involved in this movement better than just about anyone in the world. I have spent more time reading the tweets of these people more than anyone else I have ever heard of. I am neither exaggerating the amount of time per day I spend, nor am I exaggerating the length of time that I have been doing it. And I have been doing this since early September. I can read you the list of names of people whose tweets I see on a daily basis. And it should not surprise you. The Ivy Clover, Deadwing Duck, Not Your Shield, Kawaiisaurus Rex, Mr. Fart, Luis Eduardo, Real Vivian James, Sargon of Akkad, Infinite Chan, Rogue Star, Review Labs, The Fine Young Capitalists, Weapon Arts Games, Lizzie F620, Remy Punks, Minu 90, Alan Bakari, Simon Bates, Review Mage, Gaming Anarchist, Soldier of Fortune, Renaxis, The Ralph Retort, Kathy Young, Mundane Matt, Protein Pell, Mike Cernovich, K. Rosen, Pixel Metal, Fangbreaker, Christina Hoff Summers, Random Fox, Ash Effect, Low Ping, Ivy Twisted, Jenny Barrage, Alejandro Argandona, Daniel Vavra, Oliver Campbell, Lisa Ngo, Georgina Young, Adam Baldwin, Sith Lord Sabrina, Boogie 2988, GM Shivers, William Usher, Thunderfoot, Ollie Barter, Total Biscuit, Brad Wardell, Eric Kane, Alexander Makris, Milo Yiannopoulos, Nero, and I skipped over replacement accounts, backup accounts, in case these people get removed unjustly. I am telling you, I see every single tweet these people send when they're awake. And when I wake up at night, I go back through and scan through these tweets. That's how I stay on top of all of the happenings on Gamergate. I pay attention, I read, and I know what they send. I know what they say. I know what they retweet. And I send that out, the highlights, the most important pieces, to those who are following me. I know Gamergate. This is not a hate organization, because if it were, I would see it. And if I saw it, I would disassociate myself from this consumer revolt. Period. People making claims about this being a hate movement are lying to themselves and lying to you. I love the fact that Jenn Hardwire is collecting these stories of people who've been doxxed, because if there is a hate movement involved, it is the antis who clearly hate Gamergate, who clearly doxed so much that even Randy Harper complained about it on Gamergazi, as covered yesterday, and who have engaged in a continual campaign of false flagging, false charges, lying and distorting to the press, to Twitter, to anyone who would listen, and producing a ream of fake information about abuse they are receiving, none of which can actually be tied to individuals who are part of this consumer organization. The hate, to the extent that it exists in a large amount, is coming from the antis, and I know this for a fact. I know it more than any human being on the planet. This is my area of expertise, and I know the truth. Moving on. Startup Trustev wants to fix internet comments with digital fingerprinting. This is passed along to me today. And I wish I had the handle so I could give you a proper thank you. I apologize for that. I will try to get you in tomorrow. The story is written by Matt Weinberger of Computer World. And it's illuminating for several reasons. But first, I want you to notice some of the oddities of phrasing he sticks in this article, because the information that was sent to me, he sent more than one article, and the other one did not have the couple of little fill-ups I'm about to read. Trustev's main business is what it calls digital fingerprinting, an anti-fraud technology for e-commerce that can identify known credit card scammers and block them so thoroughly and completely that they would need an entirely new computer to mess with the business. Would-be fraudsters get turned away, and real customers don't even know they're being screened. Radio Shack already uses it to protect online transactions. Yesterday, Trustev has expanded its digital fingerprinting business beyond e-commerce by launching Trustev for Publishers with a goal near and dear any reporter's heart, helping publishers ban toxic internet commenters completely from their websites, providing no leeway for even setting up a second account. Trustev thinks this can raise the level of online discourse and help harassment campaigns the likes of Gamergate help stop them before they even begin. Which is to say, this individual, Matt Weinberger of Computer World, is trumpeting the ability to censor people from sending correct, accurate information. He's trumpeting the ability of big media organizations with lots and lots of readers to lie to people about prominent issues of the day without small people who have no power, who have no money, who have no voice, being able to offer any rebuttal whatsoever. And you may think, oh my gosh, Daddy Warpig, this is terrible. We won't be able to get our story out there. In the short run, you're right. This would be, if implemented, if the description in the story is accurate and it is implemented as described in the story, this would be a terrible loss for freedom and accuracy on the internet. However, taking the long-term, organizations that lock themselves up in this bubble get weirder and weirder and weirder because their actions, reactions, and news becomes more and more divergent from the real world, and people begin to notice. I know it may be unpopular or undesirable for me to point this out, but the fact is, sometimes unjust actions cannot be dealt with swiftly or decisively in a way that would be satisfying to us. Sometimes you just have to let bad people do bad things. So long as they're not destroying lives or property that is actually physically assaulting or killing someone or stealing actual, physical objects or whatever, so long as they're not engaged in a critical level of criminality, sometimes you just have to let bad people do bad shit. Sooner or later, the natural consequences of their actions will catch up to them, and they will find their fortunes declining. They will find bad events occurring and will not know why. Companies who wall themselves off from the truth, media organizations and individuals who wall themselves off from the truth will begin becoming more and more inaccurate, will begin providing worse and worse information, and consumers will begin to notice. This is not an immediate and satisfying event, but it is nonetheless as sure and certain as weathering of mountains by rain. And so, while not championing this event, I can assure you it is a disaster for those involved, not for us. Now, the last bit of editorial comment is, yesterday someone asked me, hey, I never hear about stuff that Gamergate has done. So I sat down for a short period of time and just listed a random selection of events and stories that we in Gamergate, we in this consumer revolt currently occupying the Gamergate hashtag, were involved in directly or peripherally. And I want to read to you this list now. It is not in any order. And indeed, because it is a random list of tweets, it is not very lengthy, but I think it will serve to illustrate all the good that we have accomplished over the last 3 months. Starting at the top, David Draymond, lead singer of Disturbed, comes out in support of Gamergate. The leaked Polytron documents reveal corruption in Independent Games Festival. The FTC is in process of revising rules for the disclosure of paid content for websites, reviewers, and YouTube reviewers after Gamergate reports on the issue. Kotaku is now revising older stories to comply. Target Australia withdrew selling GTA 5 after protests by American gamers. Video games critic Jonathan McIntosh, prominent anti, championed the move. Able Gamers Charity refuses proposed fund drive by porn star and Gamergate supporter Mercedes Carrera. Subsequent Able Gamers site problems are erroneously blamed on a DDoS attack, a distributed denial of service attack. Antis blamed Gamergate for the non-attack. There was no attack, they blamed Gamergate. Going further back in time, Game Journal Pros, a secret email list founded by Kyle Orland, is exposed by Breitbart London reporter Milo Yiannopoulos at Miro. Leaked emails from the list reveal collusion and corruption among games journalists, PR people, and industry insiders. Feminist organization Women Action and the Media was given special access to banned Twitter accounts, which led to rampant abuse of the system. Tekken 7 developer Katsuhiro Harada was pressured by NeoGAF, or by people on the NeoGAF forums, to ban character Lucky Chloe and proposed to replace her with a bald skinhead. Indie game Seedscape became the target of an anti-boycott because of the artist's involvement in Gamergate, after which it was approved on Steam overnight, or greenlit on Steam overnight. Leaked Games Journal Pros emails revealed frequent bribery among video game reviewers, including paid reviews and sexual favors. Many on the list, journalists, made jokes about it. Programmer Randy Harper harvested 15,000 Twitter handles to create GG Auto Blocker, targeting quote-unquote harassers on Twitter. The list of said harassers included the head of the Anti-Harassment Patrol, Gamergate's Anti-Harassment Patrol, the Anti-Bully Ranger, actor Tay Diggs, and Kentucky Fried Chicken. Said list was endorsed by the Independent Games Developers Association, calling those on the list some of the worst abusers on the internet. International Games Developer Association Puerto Rico chairman was on the list. After being labeled sea lions, Gamergate raises $5,000 to adopt a sea lion, naming it Isabeau Essex, because it's about ethics. And that is just the tip of the iceberg for charity. I'm taking a step away from the list for a second. I did not have the other figures at hand when I was typing these up. And you got to understand, I took 1 or 2 minutes on each of these, so I was doing these very, very quickly. I didn't have the numbers for the other charities Gamergate has supported, or indeed a comprehensive list available at the time. I remember the Fine Young Capitalists was also another charity supported by Gamergate, raising, if my razor sharp mind is providing the accurate term, some $70,000 for them and several others. The charitable organization work done by Gamergate is phenomenal, whereas the antis raised $30 for one charity once, not even reaching their goal. They have never, ever done anything for anyone. Last ones. Continuing controversy over Wikipedia Gamergate page causes founder Jimmy Wales to intervene after a review of the Games Journal Pro emails. He rules Gamergate's charges of collusion among video games journalists to be proven. Both IGN and Joystick quietly revise review disclosure policies after Gamergate pressure becoming more transparent. Somebody last night said this was a result of the FTC. It was not. These revisions for Joystick and IGN happened before the news about the FTC broke. Nero becomes the target of harassment, including a groundless Twitter ban and mailing of toilet paper and dead animals to his house. Several prominent advertisers withdrew support from corrupt sites, Gamasutra and Kotaku and others, following Gamergate activism. So if you want to know what good Gamergate has done over the last 3 months, that is a tiny smattering of the news stories you can find. It is not exhaustive. It is not a chronicle. It's just the few I could remember in the time I had to write this up. So when people tell you that Gamergate is a campaign of harassment, is a campaign of lies, is a campaign of racism that has accomplished nothing, know that this is a lie. Math proves it. I know it because I have read it. And every day when you take action to send out emails informing advertisers of corruption in games media, you prove it. We are doing good work. We are doing the right thing, and we are doing it in the right ways. And that's what you need to know December 9th, 2014. I am your host, Daddy Warpig. You can follow my blog at daddywarpig.com. Read me on Twitter at daddy_warpig. Catch the Kick-Ass Geekcast every Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Half an hour of all the news you need to know. And catch the Geek Gab, the Geektacular Gab Fest on Sundays. An hour of all fun, no work, anything geeky goes. I'm your host, signing off for tonight. I will be back.